Hello everyone, welcome to my channel and welcome to the special edition new moon reading. Today we're going to be talking about new moon in Libra, which is going to be peaking hours from now. For New York time zone, for EST, it's going to be something like 8:46, close to 9 a.m. For others, you can use, of course, look it up online and see what time zone it is for you. But the most of us is going to be on this specific day, which is going to be is it the 20th? It is the 21st. It's going to be the 21st of October. I'm a little bit lost in days. I do so much these days that this is like, oof. What day is it today? Yeah, this is going to be October 21st. And we're still in Libra, which means that this new moon is going to be in Libra. So just as always, before I start yapping about new moon and what is it all about, just wanted to remind how I do this kind of reading. So what I'll do first is I've got an oracle deck here, my favorite angels and ancestors. Yes, it's still with me. I will pull 3 themes. And yes, we continue talking about ancestors in the month of October because it's such a strong energy right now, right? And yes, I haven't done the dedicated reading for that yet, but I will do at some point this week. So first I'll pull 3 themes, 3 oracle cards. Speak on that. This is for the entire collective. This is the vibe. This is what, you can say it's the collective message. You can say this is what, astronomically, astrologically is happening right now, because we can talk about, and in this kind of readings, I usually only highlight specifics for like the one event that we're talking about. But please remember that apart from this transit, and it's called a transit, right? The specific placement of the current planetary body. And sometimes it's not even a planet, it's an asteroid, right? But there are lots of others, and they all interact with each other. Right? It's like different instruments playing and creating a completely different sound together, different impression and different impact. So it is so much more than just new moon in Libra, right? But for the sake of simplicity, not to overwhelm you guys, not to make this reading 3 hours long, we talk about this event in isolation. What I suggest you do, especially with all the online astrology tools, everything we have at hand, see how it impacts you specifically. Right? And I mean, the usual, like, see where your moon is, where do you have Libra in your chart. You can look up the degree as well and see what kind of planets are in that specific degree for yourself. Plus or minus 2 degrees is usually strong enough impact, right? And you have tools that can actually assess that for you too. So the 3 themes are going to be like that overall. This is what's happening in the world right now, and this is what we need to know in the context of this new moon. And then I've got the tarot cards here. I actually have 2 decks just in case. I will go through each zodiac sign, and we'll start with Libra, of course. And we'll see what kind of messages each individual sign is supposed to hear, to know, to take into account, to work with, to aspire to, whatever that is, right? We'll go all the way around the deck. There will be timestamps. You'll be able to easily jump directly to the message you want. These are going to be for sun, moon, and rising, but if you only have time for one message, so ideally watch 3 messages for your sun sign, moon sign, rising sign. If you are short on time, only have time for a short message, please pick your moon sign, because we're talking about a lunar event. Of course, if you're doing like the whole shebang with looking up online of what's impacted, you can then look the message for that specific sign. Like for you, I don't know, it's gonna be impacted in, or it's gonna resonate very strongly with your Mars in Aquarius, just making it up, right? So maybe look up the message for Aquarius then. You got it. Okay, let's get started. This is one of my longer reads. I'm not a reader that can just like continue reading for hours. I do get tired, both channeling and actually talking and interpreting, because for those of you who and a lot of you guys on my channel are light workers, a lot of you know that it actually like when we get channeled messages, they don't necessarily come in words. We're not necessarily hearing phrases, right? Sometimes it's the feel that you get and you're supposed to verbalize it, but it's not always easy to find those words. So I'm not saying it's impossible, but I'm saying that that process of interpretation, it takes energy, right? And I don't just mean like the channeling energy, but also within you then to produce the words that will make sense to people who are watching this. So for me, this is as long as I can go, probably for the most part. Sometimes I do individual readings, of course, that last an hour, even more than that, but it's a little bit different story. By the way, if you're looking for a personal reading, hit me up. All right. So the first card that, oh, yes, a very quick reminder before I get into themes, and I already got the first theme for us. Yeah, rituals. Don't forget about the rituals. The new moon, first and foremost, is about intention setting. It's a new cycle. It's very good for checking whether you got your priorities straight, whether they still make sense to you. You know, checking whether the priorities on paper actually resemble your priorities in real life and how you spend your time. The exercise that people rarely do, but it's so useful. And you'll find out like 99% of the time that you're spending a lot of your day, a lot of your week on things that are not even on that list. How is that possible? And you may be thinking, well, but you know, it's like they've asked me, or this is my friend, or that was an emergency, or this is my kids. See what kind of categories do they fall in, and also work through some, I don't want to say limitations, but some kind of an idea of like the cap. You know, how much are you willing to spend on that, like top, per day, per week, whatever makes sense. And stick with that rule, at least for a little while, and see what happens. Treat it like an experiment. So Libra is a lot about balance and finding, but you know, as with any energy, it can be integrated, it can be disintegrated. In disintegrated state, it's people pleasing, it's trying to be friends with everybody, or being likable, or creating some kind of impression for others, whether it's one person or the whole world. In the integrated state, it's about compromise, but in a compassionate way to everyone involved, including you, right? So it's that loving energy. It's not coming out of fear of like, well, you know, I don't know what's gonna happen if my partner doesn't find me desirable anymore, or I build my boundaries, maybe they're gonna leave me afterwards, right? Like, it's coming from a place of actually of ease and love, right? Like, my needs and wants matter just as much as everybody else's, not more, not less. Well, for me, more, of course, than anybody else's, but you know what I mean. And like, in a situations where a few of us are involved, which is essentially the setup for the Libra energy, right? Like, how do we find a solution? How do we find that harmonious setting? It's important to account for what you want, what you need, as much as what everybody else wants and needs. It's also about boundaries between me and we. What are the aspects of your life where you make your decisions solely by yourself, and where is it about you and your partner, or maybe you, your partner, and your kids, or again, whatever group makes sense. Think about it. What kind of patterns come up for you when I'm speaking about it, right? Like, those are the areas to pay attention to, and maybe revisit again your values, your priorities, and what you want to accomplish in this new cycle. Which, by the way, for the lunar full lunar cycle actually lasts 6 months. So it's between, in this case, it's going to be new moon in Libra up till full moon in Libra. It's going to be happening 6 months from now. So yeah, what is your goal? Not just for the next like lunation cycle for 28 days, but also for the next 6 months. Interesting, right? Thinking about it that way. It's too early for the New Year's resolutions yet, but this could be another way of looking at it. And in my opinion, it's a lot healthier to build those intentions and plans for 6 months than it is for a year. And let's face it, the calendar year that we use is an artificial concept, so it doesn't really mean anything. It doesn't have to be that way. So with all that said, the first theme that we're dealing with here is the arrow. Surround yourself with, oh, and the last thing I wanted to say, because air actually has to do with air. Libra is an air sign. So if you're doing any kind of rituals, you can think of anything where you can speak something, sing something, move in the air, you know, like a dance. Maybe you're gonna be like sending something in the air, something, right? Like that will be taken away with wind, something like that. Like use your imagination, but I'm hopefully giving you some ideas. Surround yourself with protective energy, right? So this, to me, this speaks to what I was just talking about with your needs and wants matter, right? And on a certain level, it means that you don't have to share it with everyone. You don't have to check in with everyone how they feel about it, right? It's up to you, and you can keep it private. On the other level, it's like stand for yourself, and it's like that 7 of Wands energy, you know, where it's like protect what means a lot to you, right? It's up to you, right? And you don't like it. If it's an intimate, and I don't just mean romantic, but like a close, trusting relationship, it doesn't have to be a battle. It shouldn't be, actually. I was just listening to someone on Instagram just recently, and they said that if it's your person, how do you know if you've met your person? Because it's easy to argue with them. It doesn't mean that you never argue. That's actually one of the red flags. But it's easy to argue, meaning that of course you will have misunderstandings. Of course, they may be sometimes unhappy with what you want or what you're doing or whatever, even what's going on in their life, right? And it may impact their dynamic between you two. But it's about how you get from that place to a place where things are good, where you can fix it, you can solve it, that you're both interested and you're ready to work on that solution, whatever it takes. Right? Like it's easy to talk through it and agree about it. And it's like there's a lot to expand on in this conversation, which I'm not gonna right now, but like this is, to me, like another side of this card is a reminder that you don't need to like fight to protect yourself. The protective energy should be easy, right? Especially in your close relationships. You shouldn't need like to build a wall, right? It's like, yes, I'm caring of my energy, but I'm also trustful and open. The next theme is spring. See your seeds grow. And this is the new moon energy, right? What I was just talking about with setting intentions for the new cycle. What do you want to plant? What kind of seeds do you want to plant? Yeah, so the seed planting reminds us again that you don't need to accomplish a big goal in like a week's time, right? But it's about planting seeds, which, you know, it's metaphorical expression, of course. What it means is that, yes, you kind of align your inclinations, your thoughts, and your goals towards it, and then you start taking consistent action towards it, aligned action towards it. It's not like you say one thing but end up doing something completely different that doesn't resonate with this, right? And then it has resistance with each other, and that's why you're not getting to where you want to get. And I'm not saying that, you know, some of us are perfect and never do this, me included. I do that. Even now, with everything that I've gone through, all the work that I've done on myself and how conscious I am, I do that still, right? So it's not about like, oh my God, you've done it, shame on you. It's more like, okay, now you know you've done it, change it, fix it, you know, turn this around. Those kind of actions would be the seeds that you're planting for your success. The third one, because I'm already getting into a longer read. Great teacher. Wow. I haven't gotten this card ever in this deck. Which is actually a message for me personally. Learn from spiritual experiences. Yeah, and that's a reminder for those of us who feel jaded when they're thinking about new goals or priorities, or reminding yourself of who you are, what your passion is, You're reminded of how you've been stopped in your path, right? How you've been somehow challenged or even blocked, at least for a while, right? And it feels like maybe it could be a message from the universe saying that it's not for me, but really, most importantly, it's for you to learn the lesson that you're supposed to learn. And if you don't know the lesson, again, not the end of the world. Keep asking the question. And again, these days I find that with all the online tools that we have, which, believe me, when I started my spiritual journey like good 20 plus years ago, we didn't have. It just wasn't available. Internet existed, but it was nothing like it is now with the amount of information. You have so many tools, at your fingertips to use and even do that research, do that brainstorm online and seeing, what this could be, what is this about, right? How can I get an answer? What is this? What is this? What is this? Right? That could be a start at least. Speak to your higher power, to your guides, to whatever you believe in, whatever is your higher power, right? Ask for a sign, ask for understanding or for guidance on the path, whatever it is, right? But it is about, or even you can even ask, what kind of lesson am I supposed to learn from this? What is this about? And if you're in a meditative state, you might, or similar, right, where you're open as a channel, you might actually hear the answer right away, right that second. I've had that happen to me so many times. All it took was to sit down and have my focus on that and ask. And I got my answer. Again, asking, talking, that's that air energy that the new moon is emphasizing for us. Okay, with all that said, I'm gonna start going to each sign, and we'll start with Libra. What does Libra need to know for this new moon in Libra? I think I'll do this. I might be away in November for a little while, or I may be doing readings, but very infrequently, because I'm actually gonna be like MIA in real life. So for those of you who are thinking about personal readings, please get them while you have time, while I'm available. Otherwise, you may be waiting days and weeks. Right now, it's pretty quick. It's usually not more than a couple of days between when you've ordered your reading and when you received it. And I can do it as a recording and send that to you, or we can do a live session on Zoom and do it that way. Okay, with all that said, let's go. Libra, you have the Fool, beautiful. The Justice, that's exactly the energy of this Libra new moon, and it's your energy too. And Queen of Wands, such a beautiful energy, right? So Libra, for you, it's like the drum roll or like the curtain call, and you're waiting, like people are waiting for you to show up on stage. It's like, if you were doubting certain steps or certain paths, this is your confirmation that this path is not just even, your personal choice of like, you came up with something, and it's like, do people even want to hear that? Do they need that from me right now? It's like, they have been waiting forever and asking like, when is that person, when is Libra coming up? I need something, that kind of energy, that kind of passion, that kind of experience that Libra has. And yes, maybe they don't even know who you are, but they are looking for it. And the energies attract each other, right? So once you're ready with your message, with whatever it is you're speaking to the world, what you're doing, what that passion is for you, your audience will find you. And don't overthink about how do you do this and why, and the format, what values it's gonna bring. If something comes to you, an inspiration of what is it that you're supposed to do? Is it art? Is it public speaking? Is it sharing your craft for something? Is it even volunteer work? We're nearing Thanksgiving time, right? So maybe you've never done it before, and this time is like, wow, you saw an ad and you're like, I feel like doing it. Don't overthink it, go for it. There's definitely something. It is about new beginning where you trust, where you don't ask too many questions, where you just follow, you trust the universe that it has your back. And you'll see how miracles are gonna unfold, and how that balance and that reciprocity and whatever it is that you're asking for yourself, how that will be given to you tenfold. Okay, that was for Libra. Next, we're gonna go to Scorpio. What does Scorpio need to hear during this new moon in Libra? Devil. 4 of Wands, wow. And Knight of Pentacles. Yeah, there will be temptation to move things along or to get an understanding. Oops. Oh no, I dropped the card. Sorry guys, have to pick it up. And so 4 of Wands, you can't risk not having 4 of Wands in your deck, right? With a lot more signs to go. Whew. There may be temptation to push things, rush things, see where is this going, right? And by the way, 4 of Wands is not always about romantic relationship. It can be about friendship. Maybe it's a friendship with someone that was never your type, right? And you're like, I mean, I'm having fun, but this just doesn't make sense. Like, where's this going? Why am I even interested? Why is that person so interested in being friends, right? Our brain likes to complete the story and to have all the answers, which is one of the core root causes for trouble. Because it makes assumptions. It doesn't know. But yeah, 4 of Wands could be about friendship. It could be about business partnership. It's something long-term. It's long-term commitment. It's that soul connection, if you wish, right? Soulmate connection, I guess you can say. And soulmates are not just romantic partners. It's been romanticized in our society, but it's not really just about that. So it could be anyone like that comes to your life and you get either overly excited or you get very suspicious, as Scorpios do, let's be honest. And you'll be like, oh, I mean, I really want to see where this is going, but you know, when you just started talking to a person, and for some of you I'm hearing this will be talking to them online, you don't necessarily ask those questions straight, you know, out of the gate, like, do you need anything from me, or are you a gold digger, whatever it could be, whatever your assumptions are, right? I mean, I was just telling Libra not to overthink it, but what I'm gonna say, yeah, like all this kind of to both temptations and deceptions, they happen in our brain. So if it's possible for you to go into your heart space, right, to go into your heart center and feel what this relationship gives you, what is it about through your heart space, this is very advantageous, and that would already give you some information. But if it's not your thing or it's not working for you, give it some time. There's definitely something important here. But part of the lesson, drumroll please, is that it's gonna move slowly, slower than you like. And it's gonna maybe drive you crazy. But as part of a story, to learn, you know, to be patient, to trust the process, And there's so many layers to it. If you're now rolling your eyes and like, oh, of course I trust the process, but it doesn't mean that I'm not supposed to know. Well, sometimes that's exactly the process. So good luck with that, Scorpio, but it's somebody very important in your life. And that person could be a new person who is coming in, or it could be someone that you know, but you're taking it to the next level. Again, doesn't have to be just romantic partner, but of course could be, right? Maybe you were casually dating, but now it's like your lease is coming to an end and your person knows that. And it's like the big question, there's an elephant in the room to like, are we gonna move in together? Should I continue leasing an apartment on my own and extend? That kind of vibe. There's a good chance you'll find out like the last moment when you can still make some kind of change. Okay, next we'll go to Saggy. What does Sagittarius need to know during this new moon in Libra? Knight of Cups, I love it. Romantic, especially in this deck. 4 of Cups. Ooh. And the Chariot. Wow, I love the colors. And by the way, this to me always looks like when it comes out like that it's like a part of the same, almost like continuation of this card, like it spills over into this one. It's nice, right? So your overthinking this time is like, have I missed my chance with a certain person, right? Maybe this person has already walked away, or you broke off with them, or maybe you just have that feeling that they're not as interested as they were like a month ago or whatever. right? It's like now it seems a lot cooler. Maybe I made a mistake somewhere, don't even know where. Or maybe you know exactly what it is and you're now thinking, wow, I shouldn't have said that, or I shouldn't have hurt their feelings that way. Shoulda, woulda, coulda. Reminiscing never ends well. And you have better things to do, Sagittarius, with your time. So it's all about what do you actually want. Don't think about how do I need to butter them up, this person, set up a cool date or something, whatever it is, to make them love me or stay with me or reconsider, or, like whatever. No, it's about building that picture, big picture, which is what you're good at anyway. What is it that you want? Build that vision, right? And then see how this person fits into your bigger vision. Maybe even have a conversation with them, apart from so you don't just think about it when you go to sleep every night and you never talk to them about it, right? But you actually sit down for that not so easy but important conversation, and you can tell them, this is my vision for my life. I've worked through it, I've felt through it. This is what's important for me at this point. How do you feel about it? What is it for you? Let's see if this makes sense, because I'm treating this seriously. So I believe that we should align on our vision, otherwise it's not gonna work. And I want to make sure that I'm not wasting your time either, right? That's an honest conversation. That's not about games. It's not about manipulating someone to like you more or somehow to stay in the relationship. It's about being very honest. And the more of that honesty you can bring, in a compassionate way, the better the outcome is going to be, whatever it is, for you and for them. Okay, next we're going to continue with the Capricorn. So what does Capricorn need to know during this new moon in Libra? Capricorn. All right, I got the Page of Pentacles and the King of Swords, and we have the moon here. Yeah, the moon is a reminder that a lot of times we become victims of our emotions, but it can also be a very powerful coach for us in where we are and how we operate in the world, and essentially how to work with our subconscious inclinations, and we all have the instincts that date back to prehistoric times, right? The survival mechanisms, certain coping mechanisms that we have, even as animals, still as primates, right? It's so deep and it's so strong. It's amazing how it survived through thousands and thousands of years, right? But it's there, and it's not reasonable to ignore it, right? But it's also reasonable to know about what it's like, what those mechanisms are, what those behavioral patterns are, so we can I don't want to say even have more control over it, but we can decide how to work with it, how to make it work for us, right? And maybe we want to do something different. That's also a possibility. So, and here I also love this kind of dialogue between, so the new moon in Libra is inviting you to do that. There is a dialogue between somebody who is very experienced versus somebody new to the field, or very fresh and maybe a little naive. A conversation between someone older and younger, however you want to see that, right? Also, this is air, this is earth, like different planes, different elements, different speed to that energy. There's a lot of value in having the conversation and learning from each other, right? Even if it seems a very unlikely role model or not really something that I'm interested in, right? To me, because they're both the court cards, they speak about a certain person that will be in focus for you at this time. And it doesn't even have to be a close friend or relative or colleague, right? It could be, I don't know, some kind of public person you saw in a TV show, or even watch their reel on Instagram or whatever it is, or read a book by that author, right? But something clicked for you and you're like, wow, that's a very interesting and fresh way to frame something. Like, I've never even thought about it under that angle in this circumstance. So, you know, it's important, and it will be something to do with behavior and feelings. And again, sometimes we separate those, but they're very connected, right? Especially if it's some kind of a trigger, right? Which again, it's not easy to be very like raw honest about it and admit it, right? But I know that for myself, or at least it has been my story for some time, right? I'm getting better at it, right? I'm still learning myself for sure. But I see it more and more with friends who I've known for a long time, right? And it's now more in sharp contrast, where people, I don't know, blame others for, you know, their grievances, or they always say that it was the circumstance, or it was this, or, you know, like that was the best choice for everyone involved in that case. And like they're having a bit of a God complex, knowing what is the best thing to do in that situation, right? And at some point in time, when, you know, in our adulthood, it feels like that's the way, right? We have kids and they encourage us to take more charge and to have that confidence, right? To tell them like, that's how the world works. This is why this is happening. This is what I'm expecting from you, right? Like, it's supposed to be that firm voice and confidence and action to follow it. Other parts of it, you know, you build a career, right? People also want to see that affirmative statement and, you know, confidence and courage in like, this is what we're building, this is what this is about. But it is a lot more about knowing your feelings and emotions and what you actually want, what your inclinations and aptitudes are, rather than portraying it for the outside world, right? Because that creates then some kind of artificial concept, right, or construct. And that's where even the King of Swords can still learn from a Page of Pentacles, because Page of Pentacles has that, how do you say it? Like, it's his view is not modeled or muddied by, you know, all these expectations and trauma in life, right? It's more fresh, it's more honest, it's more expressive, right? It's more simple, right? Like, it's not as big of a price, I guess, that they're paying, right? Like, you know, the importance of the moment, whatever it is. The stakes are high. But the Page of Pentacles is much easier, so there's no point in pretending or creating something artificial or manipulating the audience somehow, right? So something to think about. Don't know exactly what I was headed for you, but there we go. Next, we'll go to Aquarius. What does Aquarius need to know during this new moon in Libra? Six of Swords, clarified by the Emperor. Yeah, that's what I was just talking about to Capricorn, and Queen of Pentacles. Interesting, right? So these cards are very much about like stability and power. This card is more about peace and inner state of mind. And that was the first card, by the way. So that should be the name of the game for you. Aquarius are is the energy where there's like this global vision, where there is desire to impact the world, for your actions to mean something, you know, bigger than yourself and stuff like that. And it almost like sometimes turns into pressure to be that way, to do things that way, to take risks, but it also means sometimes being rash in your decisions, right? It's like these people, they are kind of like, okay, in order to make money, you need to spend money, right? So we're just gonna turn around quickly, here, there, you know, like quick turnaround. But it also creates certain level of hustle, certain level of pressure. And right now it's important, and maybe it's fine sometimes, right? Maybe it's impossible to go in life without it. especially if you're trying to build something powerful or if you are in a powerful position. But right now, the name of the game is peace and stability. How do you find peace and how do you make it your baseline, even when you have a lot at stake, even if there is all that pressure, even if you're the emperor of your kingdom and people look up to you for leadership and support, right? How do you maintain that peace of mind and not feeling pressure to either go, 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 or to put your needs and wants behind or aside, I'm sorry, and go for something that the society needs? All right, that was Aquarius. Next we go to Pisces. Pisces. What does Pisces need to know for this new moon in Libra? Knight of Wands, very interesting. Page of Pentacles, this is the second time at least that we're seeing this, and Page of Cups. I actually love this page energy because it's very resonant with the new moon vibe. The Knight of Wands is a little different. It's a lot more risque. It's more of like, ooh, let's spice things up, whatever that could mean for your life. And that was the main card, by the way, right? So I would say even as you're going to like go into blasé or trying something new, and you know you're just going with your passion, it's great. Keep the momentum going, and don't have expectations that are very high, right? Or you don't need to be a pro at something that you're just getting started. We have the drums here. Maybe you are learning a musical instrument. Maybe that's your passion and you're going with it, right? I remember when I started taking violin lessons, I was already in my 20s, and like the first thing that I would hear from people who were even remotely close to playing musical instruments was that this is too late, like it's just impossible. You know how they say like you get into certain sports by a certain age in order to be a champion, because then your body is just too far behind. And for violin, especially because it's such an intricate work of your fingers, it's kind of a similar vibe of like, if you didn't do it when you were a child, it's like almost impossible to work that mechanics and to be good at it when you're an adult. And I'm never, but I mean, I knew I never wanted to be like you know, performing with the Philharmonic Orchestra or something, right? I was doing it for myself, to enjoy it, because I loved violin music and I wanted it to be a part of my life. Just something magical was there. And you know what, it was good enough for me. I remember the first little performance that I did was actually for my colleagues, which was, I guess, a bit of a mistake, but because they would have expectations. Some of them were laughing at me. And it was a simple song, but I loved it so much. So it's like, remember that it's not, even if you're following someone else's footsteps or you're getting inspiration from someone who's public and who's doing whatever this passion is in public, big time, don't let it put pressure on you unnecessarily, right? Because for you, it's still like learning to walk before you run. Right? And I love these energies because they're very feminine vibe, and this is water, which is your element, and earth, right? So both of them are very nurturing, very caring, very much about how, you know, how you feel when you do it, right? What does it mean to you? How does it feel in your body here with Page of Pentacles? That's a lot more important than what you put out there for the audience or anybody else that sees you do it, right? I'm not saying that's not important, but that's, you know, it's not important right now. Let's put it that way. Okay, that was Pisces. Next, we're gonna go to Aries. What do Aries need to know about this new moon in Libra? The Devil. Okay, clarified by Two of Swords and Temperance. Interesting. It's interesting because these are actually very different energies, but especially with the hair, you see like in both of this, it's like the hair is being pulled or it's like standing up. That drew my attention. So because this new moon is in Libra, and Libra is about our thoughts and words, don't get too hung up on semantics and expressions. And especially if you're on a spiritual path and, you know, maybe you consider yourself a light worker, the most amount of information that we get is on the energy level anyway. It's not through words and thoughts. Our language, which is how we operate on that 4D level, is very limited. Any language you pick, right? So a lot of times we put too much expectation on it, right? Or we feel like that's like ride or die, you know, of the situation. What was said, how it was said, whether it's about somebody saying it to you or how you speak to somebody else, right? But it's really about the energy balance, right? And then the more you are grounded, the more you are settled in your energy, and you know what kind of intention you have for that message, for that conversation, the easier the words are it's gonna be easier for you to come up with the right words, right? I used to be one of the people who would prepare for like conversations elaborately for like big interviews. I mean, interviews when I was interviewing somebody, or, you know, just important presentations, like maybe transcribing almost like the whole speech. And at some point I stopped doing that, to the point where sometimes I knew that I would need to speak to the person in a session, you know, to kind of facilitate it. And I'd be like, I'll figure it out. When the moment comes, it's gonna be the most authentic version of myself, right? And I will find the words that need to be said at exactly that moment to exactly that audience, whether it's one person or it's on social media for everyone to see. So it's really, don't let it be a limitation for you. Don't let it ruin the moment for you, and for you to really enjoy what is happening, the opportunity that you have, or if it's a relationship, you know, a wonderful person that you have in your life. Organize your own energy field. Stay in high vibration, and things are gonna fall together naturally. If you need to make any decisions, that will also come to you naturally. Trust me, at some point it'll just come to you and be like, wow, this is so easy. Why did I ever consider it otherwise? Okay, next we move to Taurus. What does Taurus need to know about this new moon in Libra? New moon in Libra for Taurus. Three of Swords. That's a start, right? Clarified by 3 of Wands, okay, and 10 of Wands. Yeah, when we are in a space of a broken heart, and again, it doesn't have to be romantic, could be anything else where we lost faith or we got upset or we're grieving for some reason. It's difficult to see the world in a free and enthusiastic way. Kind of like you have all the options in the world, right? It's more like, how do I avoid being in this place, right? Or how do I make sure that what I'm choosing is a sure thing? Or I just want to get away from this feeling as quickly as possible. So you have options, yes. At least 2 of them here, right? You have 3 of Wands, you have 10 of Wands. Both of them, I like that both of them are kind of like looking in the same direction, right? But it's like, are you gonna set your intentions with the aspiring dream in mind, right? Where it's like you're dreaming out your best case scenario, or you're gonna be setting intentions based on what you don't want, right? You got fed up with something, or you can't carry on like this anymore. You want something else in life, which, by the way, is not a bad starting place to realize that you want things to be different. But, and I keep saying it in coaching so many times, because I have a lot of clients who come to me with this kind of statement, like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I'm so tired of what's been going on. And the instinctive response of our brain is to immediately think of like, how do I get away from it? Or how do I protect myself from this? How do I make the safest choice so I'm not in this situation anymore? Or the fastest way to get myself out of this, right? But it's not like, if you're thinking that way, that's the energy you're in. And if anything, you know, they say what you resist persists. You can see more of that in your universe, right? Because that's where your mind is. And a lot of times that's where your actions are. The important part, once you've understood that you don't want the same, you want something different, to dig deeper and understand what is it that you want. What is your ideal future? What is your vision? And maybe in various parts of your life, not just in one where you felt it the most recently, right? And that's what the new moon is allowing you to do. To get out of your broken heart space, to get into your dream space. As much as it can be harder done than said, you know. Get yourself into a stable place enough where you can breathe, where you can, you know, at least you have a piece of paper and a pen. And you can draw even. I'm seeing it for some people, if you're more visual, that might work better. If you draw your picture of what you envision for yourself, where you want to be, what you want to be doing. Let the universe know, right? Out of place of like, this is making me very happy. If you need to draw several pictures, do that. And then imagine yourself in that picture, like visualize it for yourself, like it's already happening. And notice, how does it make you feel? Where is it in your body, right? Like, what is it? Is it, you know, to basically understand whether it's ego or it's your heart space, right? And if it's a choice that you're making because it looks good, or somebody is expecting that from you, or it's because that's exactly what your heart wants. Okay, we'll move on to Gemini on this. What does Gemini need to know for this new moon in Libra? So after I'm doing Gemini, we'll have Cancer, Leo, Virgo. 3 more. Page of Cups. Clarified by Hermit. And 4 Wands. I love this. Wow. So Page of Cups is your key energy. And if you are not familiar with this deck, in this deck it has, like, it's about dreaming. A lot of it is about dreaming. So part of this dream is this little picture with like 2 hands making a heart. And another part is like the rest of his feet are actually here. And there's a flying pig next to it, right? It's like changing your, you know, concept of what life is supposed to be like. In a nutshell, right? Anything is possible. You don't really know anything. And I know it sounds so dramatic, but it's just to kind of free yourself from the assumptions that we tend to make about everyone and everything around, right? And in order to do that, it's important for you to first of all embrace the partnerships that you trust, that you believe in, that are like the lifetime partnerships for you. And also in activities that support you, right? 4 Wands, more than anything else, is about, like, if you think about 4 Wands, like 4 legs of a table, for example, they form that foundation, that baseline. Like, what is in your life? Like for this one, I immediately think of dance because I'm a dancer and these girls are dancing, right? Maybe that could, like, for me, dance is one of those baselines in life. What is that for you that could support you in anything and through anything, that you're not afraid to dream big? You're not afraid to, you know, consider that pigs can actually fly. That, I don't know, the love of your life is going to knock on your door tomorrow. That your dream job is going to come to you. You don't need to search for it, right? But another part of it is going deeper into spiritual space. And I know this could be a long conversation, but consider the aspects of, first of all, your relationship with your higher power, whatever that is for you. And second of all is how you take care of yourself, how you prioritize your wants and needs in your life. Like, if you would range that between yourself and other people in your life, where do you stand? Honestly, honest answer. And if you're not number 1, there's a problem there. So there's also something there to consider about, you know, your values and where you see yourself, where you want to go. But don't think of it in an analytical way. That's what Geminis are great at, absolutely amazing at. But think about it as like a big canvas where you can draw anything, absolutely anything. Okay, that was a wonderful message for Gemini. I mean, for me, I'm not an artist, but for this kind of message, I'm immediately thinking of painting something. Okay, next we'll go to Cancer. What does Cancer need to know during this new moon in Libra? Eight of Swords, clarified by Knight of Wands, and Six of Swords. So, I don't know if this is something that you've been going through for a while or it's new. Maybe it's like a momentary weakness or something, but this is definitely not the card we like to see. For the most part, for me as a reader, it's because it's like a self-inflicted wound, really, right? Like it's in your head. You're self-sabotaging something wonderful in your life, whether it's already happening and you just can't believe it, that it's true, that it's real, that it's for you, that it's not gonna go away, or it's something that's about to come into your life, but you're too anxious about it, like in a bad way, right? And how do you deal with it? You create peace in your life. And I know, again, it sounds so cliche, but let's face it, the society that we're in, no matter where you live in the world, that doesn't really prime you for that state of peace. It's completely opposite. We need to put in some work to get to a place of peace, most of us at least, right? And I would say probably even everyone. It's just that even if you're, I don't know, somewhere on a deserted island, there's still gonna be something. At least if you grew up somewhere else, right? And then you moved to the deserted island. There's still gonna be something because you were already primed that way. You're already conditioned that way. And even on the level of cells and our nerves, it takes so much time to rebrand yourself, to reset it, to regulate in a new way. But while you're doing it, like these are the best steps to do it. First of all, create as much peace in your life as possible. And second of all, do more of what brings you joy, what brings you fun, what brings you happiness. Not something that brings you profit, not something that, you know, you can show off to your friends, but something that you do for yourself. I mean, I was just telling Gemini about, you know, kind of like painting that vision of what they want in their head. And I mentioned that, like, if it were me, I would actually paint something. And I'm not a great painter, but I learned a few techniques to feel good about it for myself and just do it for myself. And that's good enough for me. You know what I mean? Like, for a very practical person, it would be like, this sounds like a waste of time, right? There's so much going on in life, like, why would you do this? But internally, it gives me so much more that I can even explain with words. And that has a price beyond anything that would be practical on the surface, right? So think about it that way. It doesn't have to make perfect sense to you or anyone else around you. It just needs to nurture your soul and ignite that fire. Okay, that was Cancer. Now we move to Leo. Leo, what is the message for Leo during new moon in Libra? King of Cups, I like this. Knight of Cups, oh my God, Leo. Oh, Nine of Swords, okay. Well, so you could be dealing with a water sign, of course, which would be Pisces, Cancer, or Scorpio. Or you're in the state where you're very zen when it comes to like your emotional state, your emotional intelligence, mastering your emotions in general, you know, whatever it is. If that's not the case, then this is what you can and should focus on during this time. Because that will bring you the best outcome with whatever it is that's happening here. The Knight of Cups, especially in this deck, is also romantic and about connecting with someone in that loving manner. Doesn't have to be romantic, like it doesn't have to be a date necessarily, or a partner in life. It can be with somebody else, but it's definitely very intimate, right? Where it's like a very emotional space of emotional intimacy, which could be very anxious to open up to, right? Because we become very vulnerable once you're in that state. It's easy to hurt you, to break your heart, right? We have different expectations, visions, whatever, right? So it immediately becomes a thing of like, oh, I'm not sure how far can I go with this person, right? But the important part is to be King of Cups who is knowledgeable and aware of what comes up, because the disintegrated part of King of Cups could be being closed off, right? Being too careful, too reserved. So of course, up to you what you decide, but nobody's asking you to like go from step 1 to step 100 overnight. So take it one day at a time and be very much aware of what is happening with you, what is happening with the person. Keep that communication going rather than just keeping it inside and building up anxiety or maybe even resentment towards that other person if you feel like there is a disconnect. And again, like no judgment here. I'm definitely one of the first people to say I've been doing that like for the majority of my life, right? And it's not easy to leave that behind, because sometimes you feel like, oh, okay, now I've got it, now I've done it, right? Like, okay, it's gonna get easier. But then you get to the next level of that pattern, and it's a completely new scenario where it's not easy, again, but for a different reason now. It's a completely new level of challenge. It's like, oh, wow, yes, I need to overcome that fear and anxiety in myself again, too. And always like, of course, you never know how that conversation is going to end, or what the response on the other side is going to be to your honesty and vulnerability. And there's always a chance that it's not going to go as, you expect. Or, the person is going to say, you know what, this actually doesn't work for me. I can't do this. Or I'm not this kind of a person that you want to be with. And the outcome would be that you'll part your ways. But it's still much more rewarding experience when you keep it as authentic and true as possible, true to yourself, where you are. That's what matters the most. Okay, last but not least, Virgo. What does Virgo need to know for this new moon in Libra? New moon in Libra for Virgo. Wow, 10 of Cups. I love this. King of Wands in reverse. I don't do reversals, but if they come out that way, I work with the reversals. And 9 of Wands. So for you, it's very important to unlock your creative potential or creative vibe, whatever that is for you. And it doesn't have to be art specifically, right? Like you can be creative in a science lab, or writing a code, or designing a piece of clothing, whatever. Or designing a training course for someone, right? It all counts. But that emotional high where you feel on top of the world is the most important goal in this new cycle for you. And again, you can, there is something here where there's fear, where you are not showing your true face, or you are afraid to take risk and go forward, to take that leap where you will be showing up as a King of Wands. Because then the pressure is high, right? Everybody's looking to the King of Wands, who is like the head of the tribe, right? Always in focus, and there are high expectations, right? But also it's up to you to decide whether you want to stay where you are, or you live your life more fully, brightly, and deeply, right? It's like it takes, and I love because in this deck there is this lion in the background of the King of Wands, which to me is a reminder of a strength card, of that courage that it takes, right? And courage not just to show up once or one day, but show up every day, to kind of claim something and then show up in that energy, right? I can do this, I'm this, And now you can't unsee it or others can't, right? And you continue showing up in that. And yes, it may not be ideal and not everyone might be as impressed as you want them to be, but it's not a reason not to do it. It's not a reason to live in the fear. And then of course the fear that is 9 of Wands is, it's not imaginary necessarily, but it's not as bad as you see it, right? And like with this particular deck, we have this girl who can easily step over that fence. But for her, this is like a formal boundary that she feels like she cannot cross. Up to you, you know, whether you want to stay in line and obey all the rules and like, you know, I'm immediately seeing this like military strand, like everyone's supposed to do exactly what's expected. Or you want to live your best life that you truly enjoy. The choice is yours, Virgo. Okay, on this note, I'm gonna end this. There will be timestamps, might take me a minute, but I'll get there. I hope this was useful for you guys. Please don't forget to like the video and subscribe to my channel. And until next time.